Why does eye contact suddenly break right when a moment gets real? Why do some people look straight at you, then look away at the exact second something matters? And why does that tiny shift feel louder than words? You have seen it before. You are talking to someone, the conversation feels normal. Then you mention something personal, or honest, or uncomfortable, and their eyes leave yours. Maybe they look at the floor. Maybe they check their phone. Maybe they glance past your shoulder. Maybe they smile while doing it. Maybe they go quiet for half a second. And something in you reacts immediately. You think they're hiding something. You think they lost interest. You think they got caught. You think the truth slipped out through the eyes. That is the part most people get wrong. Broken eye contact does not always mean deception. It does not always mean weakness. It does not always mean guilt. Sometimes it means the exact opposite. Sometimes people break eye contact because the moment is too real. Sometimes they look away because they feel too much. Sometimes they look away because their brain is trying to regulate pressure. Because eye contact is not just visual, it is psychological exposure. It is closeness. It is threat. It is status. It is intimacy. It is attention with nowhere to hide, and when a person suddenly breaks it, the nervous system often gets involved before the mind does. That is why this behavior feels so strange. It happens fast. It looks small, but it carries emotional weight. Eye contact forces two things at once: presence and vulnerability. When both rise at the same time, people often pull away for a second. Not because they have nothing inside, but because too much just got activated. Think about what direct eye contact does. It increases self-awareness. It makes people feel seen. It sharpens emotion. It can raise arousal. Not always romantic arousal, sometimes stress arousal, sometimes social tension, sometimes shame, sometimes desire, sometimes fear of being misunderstood. That is why a sudden break can signal overload more than dishonesty. The person is not always escaping you. They may be escaping their own reaction to you. That is where behavior gets interesting. Because the eyes often break before the words do. The body leaks adjustment before the person explains anything. And that is why this pattern gets misread so often. People treat eye contact like a lie detector. It is not. It is more like a pressure gauge. It tells you when the internal temperature just changed. Now look at how this plays out in real life. You are telling someone how you really feel. Maybe you say you are hurt. Maybe you say you miss them. Maybe you finally ask what is going on between you. They hold eye contact for a second. Then they suddenly look away. Most people assume one thing: they do not care, or they are lying, or they are avoiding responsibility. But what may actually be happening is different. Your honesty just raised the emotional stakes, and eye contact suddenly became too intimate to hold. They may feel guilt, they may feel tenderness, they may feel exposed. They may even want to answer honestly, but need a second to regulate themselves. Looking away can be a reflexive pause, a private reset, a way to stop emotion from flooding the face too fast. That does not automatically make them trustworthy, but it does mean the break itself is not the whole story. Now picture a work conversation. You give an idea in a meeting. Someone listens closely. Then when you mention a risk or challenge, they break eye contact and stare at the table. People usually assume they are insecure or uninterested, but it may actually mean they are thinking under social pressure. Eye contact during high-stakes moments can compete with cognitive effort. The brain is doing two jobs at once: process the information and manage the social demand of being watched. For some people, especially under evaluation, those two tasks clash. So the eyes drop, not because the mind left, but because the mind is working harder. This happens more than people realize. Some people look away to think clearly. Some people look away to avoid showing uncertainty too early. Some people look away because they can either perform confidence or solve the problem, not both at once. Now take a more personal example. You joke with a friend. Everything is light. Then you ask a direct question. Something simple. Are you actually okay? They laugh a little. Then break eye contact immediately. Most people assume they are being dramatic or secretive or passive-aggressive, but what it may actually mean is emotional mismatch. Their face is still trying to stay casual. Their feelings are not. That gap matters. A person can smile and still feel pressure. A person can sound relaxed and still feel cornered. A person can answer quickly and still break eye contact because the emotional truth is trying to stay hidden behind a socially acceptable expression. This is why eye behavior is so revealing. Not because it gives you a clean answer, but because it shows when inner and outer states stop matching. And that mismatch is where human behavior gets real. Sometimes a person breaks eye contact because they do not want to be read. Sometimes because they are afraid of reading a reaction. Sometimes because eye contact makes the connection stronger than they are ready for. Sometimes because being seen feels more intense than speaking, and sometimes because one sentence just touched a part of them they were trying to keep organized. This matters in everyday life because people react to broken eye contact as if it is a verdict. They decide too fast. They label too fast. They protect themselves too fast. One glance away becomes rejection. One glance away becomes rejection. One glance away becomes proof. But fast conclusions create bad relationships. They create unnecessary defensiveness. They create false confidence in bad reads, and they make people miss what is actually happening. A partner may be overwhelmed, not detached. A coworker may be concentrating, not collapsing. A friend may be trying not to unravel in front of you. When you understand that, you stop reading people like machines. You start reading them like nervous systems. That shift changes everything. It makes you less reactive. It makes you more accurate. It makes you more patient with what human behavior actually looks like under pressure. Still, context matters more than one isolated signal. That part cannot be ignored. A single break in eye contact means very little by itself. You have to read the cluster. Look at timing. Look at tone. Look at facial tension. Look at whether the person becomes warmer or colder after the break. Look at whether their words get clearer or more evasive. Look at whether this happens only in vulnerable moments or in every conversation. Patterns matter more than moments. Consistency matters more than drama. One signal is a clue. A cluster is information. And context is the difference between insight and projection. So the next time someone suddenly breaks eye contact, do not rush to the easiest explanation. Ask what changed in that exact second. Did the topic get more personal? Did the power dynamic shift? Did intimacy rise? Did shame appear? Did effort increase? Did their outside expression stop matching what they felt inside? That is the real question. Because eye contact is not only about attention, it is about tolerance for being seen. And when that tolerance drops, the eyes move first. Not every broken gaze is a lie. Sometimes it is a defense. Sometimes it is a defense. Sometimes it is attraction. Sometimes it is thought. Sometimes it is guilt. Sometimes it is vulnerability trying to protect itself before language catches up. That is the psychological takeaway. What people do with their eyes often reveals where the pressure is, not necessarily where the truth is. And if you can tell the difference, you start seeing people far more clearly. If this kind of psychology helps you notice what others miss, subscribe to Novi Mind. Because the smallest social reactions often reveal the deepest hidden motives. And in the next video, we are looking at why someone acts warm in private but distant in public.